I think one of the when I finally got away from modules and started to appreciate when companies would actually send DVDs where I'd put 3, 4, and 5 gigs worth of sounds on my hard drive and access my sounds through the drive. One of the first companies I used for that was Spectrasonics, and I still use and love Atmosphere, their Stylus RMX, and they also have a bass module trilogy, and it's just big, rich, beautiful sounds. They also fascinated me with their, and I know these are old now, but I'm just talking about when I first got into especially getting the sounds on the drive, digital distorted reality and bizarre guitar. Some of these fabulous Spectrasonics things from Elio is I think the company I get them from. But anyway, what a tremendous creative boost they gave me, and so I still use those and I love them. But I'm also finding other plugins now that are, if I can tap something here, I'll give you an example here of something called Expand right here. And this came, it was a nice surprise, I must say. When I went from Pro Tools 6 to 7, this was part of the package. And let's see here, I've got to just record enable this. And it's a little 4-track. It's not multi-timbral, but what you can do is you can assign high and low keys. So in a sense, you're multiing out of the same MIDI channel, out of the same track, but you have 4 opportunities here and 4 mixing opportunities to just split up your keyboard in this particular little Expand thing. But I love it. It's got a lot of arpeggiation and a lot of great string and pads and synthy stuff, which I think ultimately I would probably describe. Actually, maybe I could just play it. Can I play a quick tune?
Sure.
Let me. It's a good example of. I think this might just give you an idea. This might give you an idea of my sound, what I like to write.
With time on their side, Phillips and Staley shift gears and pick up another murder. After a second DNA hit comes through.
This is exactly what we're looking for.
So what I'll try and do here, of course, is hit picture. I mean, that's my job, is to follow this and be a third voice in this program. The first being, of course, the actual voice we're hearing, and that's Bill telling the story. And I learned that early on, is that while I'm a third voice, I'm there to help him tell that story even better. I think it might be the plight, perhaps, or a problem maybe for a young composer who because I know when I first came on, especially I was in rock bands all my life, writing pop tunes and singer fronting a band, and you come in and immediately you see picture and you just want to take over. It's like, oh, I can make this great. Well, yeah, what you're playing is nice, but are you truly, to the best of the whole shows, are you working in the best interests of everybody here involved, and that is the writer getting the words said properly, and very importantly, Bill, who through his delivery and his professional take on storytelling, my job is I just need to enhance and punctuate, basically, is kind of how we like to describe it to each other. And you can see that punctuation, of course, visually when, a scene changes and I make a hit, boom, or when just, it could be as subtle as Bill talking and setting up something and saying, all of a sudden then the culprit decided he had had enough. Again, it's kind of it seems obvious now when I describe it, but and it also does not have to be a fa-fum. You know, it can just be. It could be. And then the culprit decided he'd had enough. And you just need to make the story take a turn there, you know, and it can be one note. You know, it doesn't have to be. And this, I mean, in the beginning, I probably had guitars slamming. I had Hans Zimmer guitar samples slamming, or was it Steve Stevens and all these guys. And Clear Mountain was his name, Bob Clear Mountain drums, and the whole thing. And quickly found that is not necessary. You know, just be thoughtful and literally. You know, be sensitive to the fact of what's happening up here. Now, Cold Case, and of course it depends on your production, but Cold Case, what's cool about it, I loved when it came on the scene, is it gave me the ability to then just pump it up, though, a little bit. I didn't have these driving rhythms necessarily, certainly not with today's sounds in the new Explorers, because for one, we're in Africa, or we're in the Amazon, you know. So I try and keep, you know, I'd use drums, but they would be, of course, native drums. And I would use, you know, stringed instruments, but I'd try and keep it more native. Here, however, now I can do, you know, kind of like some of my favorite type of music, which it's kind of hard to explain. Maybe you can help me with a genre, but it's, you know, it's arpeggiated. It's kind of, maybe it's the trance or electronica. You know, it really moves me. On XM radio, it's their chill station. On the internet, on Mac, it's Groove Salad. You know, it's very almost Alan Parsons. You know, that kind of hypnotic. And I take it back even to Pink Floyd days, which is who I grew up with, doing the kind of music that still to this day I like to get lost in. It kind of hypnotizes me a bit. So that's the. You know, I can play you a few examples too, if depending on how much time we have, of just again of that style of music that I really love. But getting back here, I just want to show you, if you have a shot, you know, of this here, how you can see how I'll try and crank the. It's not Bill. This is an editor at this point, a scratch track that I'm working with here, but.
Only profile found in a girl that was believed to have been working the streets. We're pretty confident that we're looking at the same guy.
Just getting ready to change the scene here.
At this point in time on our side, we're not in a hurry. We finished locked up, we will be locked up, and we're going to conduct the investigation in a manner that will result in us obtaining this additional evidence.
With time on their side, Phillips and Staley shift gears and pick up another murder. After a second DNA hit comes through.
This is the feel I'm talking about. It just trying to keep the motivation going under here.
And detectives track down a woman who spills a story.
And just playing around with a little piano part
kept
there.
Locked away
It may or may not be
18
necessary.
years.
I saw so much blood, so many gashes.
Then you'll hear.
He started crying and said, I think I killed somebody.
And that's what I mean by punctuation. I'll try and be out, you know, almost like Shuma setup. I think I killed somebody, you know, that kind of thing. And I try and do quite a bit of really what Brian does so well in the next room is sound design. I just try and add, you know, if I can write music and create my own, you know, hits and ambient kind of drones and what have you, even though it's not necessarily music, I'd much rather do it in here, not write something, say, a bit lighter and say, well, I'll leave it to Brian. He'll fill it in with some effects and what have you. Excuse me. In most cases, I have my own bins filled with drums and drones and all of the kind of hits and things that I want to help bring it to life here.